Well, some of the results are coming back. That is a very rain splashed, that one. The one that has the high perlite content to it and less newspaper cellulose. This one with a high polystyrene and no newspaper cellulose, almost clean as a whistle. It's quite good. Same with this one that's got no reasonably high poly, hardly any rain splash. This one with the higher newspaper cellulose is quite good. So it's good, but it's not perfect, you know, especially on the sides there. So yeah, so the idea of having more polystyrene and maybe more on this one here, which hasn't got any sand in at all, looking fantastic, but you know, it really hasn't been wetted. As far as I can see, you can't really, the grains of perlite don't seem to have taken too much water up, so we'll have to see. Anyway, so today I'm doing one for myself today. It's a special with a special form of copper, just to prove to myself that yeah, things are not what as they seem. So I'll just get the tripod going here, as you do, Tony. And so basically it's going to be 5 parts of medium and 5 parts of sand. So basically each one of those parts will be 20%, so 20% make 40%, but because we add the sand it goes back to 20%, so it's basically 4 to 5% greater than in that some of those other mixes sort of things. So that's the general idea anyway. So I'm on 49 area, and I'm also going to measure this. They only come in packs of 4 basically, so I'm going to measure that out, but I'll probably do it with that and check against the that it is actually 700 mils of perlite sort of thing. So we all have the perlite there to act as housing for our organism, but basically we're going to have more poly. So the first stage I think is to, I don't know if we can actually get away with doing 2 lots in one container, but we'll give it a go. And so there's our poly, our 2 parts of poly, which is at the moment 40%, but when we add the sand it will come. But apparently we do need to add, the sand. So anyway, so we'll get a container, we'll just fill it up with the sand, as you do, just the standard sand here. Doesn't have to be too flash. We just want the equal parts here, and we're going to have one in there. Yeah, otherwise if you do it too quickly, it'll go boom up in here, go everywhere sort of thing. But it's a reasonably humid day today because it's just rain sort of thing. Usually when you have a heavy rain and a bright sunny day afterwards, you get about 85%. So it won't be 85%, it'll be under that, but it'll be pretty good. And that will stop things flying about so much. Anyway, check that we're in shot, and we'll bring it round here and maybe go down a notch just to make sure that we can, yeah, that should do for the time being anyway. And we'll see how we go. It's probably an acquired skill to get it started, but we'll see how we go. Now we know this from experiences, works quite well 1-to-1, fine polystyrene and this fine sand, this quartzite clay pit sand. So, but stay for the copper second. That's going to be quite an eye opener, I reckon. And if it works, well, you know, it puts us in a whole new territory. But then again, I keep hastening to add that the highest micronutrient in peat is copper. From all the books, I'm not saying anything that the book's not saying. Books have been saying that. Go back to books. Highest micronutrient element in peat, in sphagnum peat, and related peats is always appears to be copper, unless they misconfused it for something else, something that has sort of copper-like tendencies. It's actually been cobalt, but they thought it was all the old classical tests just kept coming up copper. The tests weren't accurate enough, I don't know, but you know, you got to take these books on faith that it's backed up by great chemists behind it. You know, spending years and years of doing similar work, but in their field of chemistry, just doing certain groups of the transition metals and things like that, coming up with tests to accurately sort them out from one to the other. Anyway, I think that's good enough for the time being. So now we'll just go back. Oh, yeah, it's getting a bit stiff. That one sand certainly gets into the old rivets. Rivets, I know. So there we go. Make sure we get it all in. If you ever want to get polystyrene out of something, a bit of damp sand and it will easily get it out of the container. Or if you want to get off your grater, a bit of damp sand and then it'll come off tickety-boo. Okay, well that's one part. Now we're going to do the same again, but with our newspaper cellulose. Now remember I was saying that I was quite used to having 2 handfuls making up 600 mils, and now I consistently have to add 4 handfuls. Did I make a mistake with my calculations? Or do you think these people that say they know exactly what they're doing, they put a new product out there? Did you remember last year out in the bush and I was saying I'd come across a new lark? They got these pelletized packets of, I think it's 5 kilo bags or something, or 5 litres or something like that, of pelletized material, and when you put it in the bucket, the pellets become damp and fall apart, but they don't get any larger. So they've sort of inculcated us with this idea that when you buy pelletized material, it always expands and becomes bigger. So when you buy your little 5 litre thing, it's going to swell up to be almost a few buckets worth, maybe even half a it's going to swell up and be half a wheelbarrow's worth or something, a block of coir, and it swells up to be like that. Apparently, whether this was the plan, I don't know, inculcate the public with your pelletized technology, whether it's off-the-shelf technology, I don't know. Like this has been planned for years and years, or when they started pelletizing, they discovered this, that they can control their machinery so well that with tolerances and things like that, that eventually they can just sort of cut the volume down by half. So now you've got to put in 4 handfuls to make the same amount, sort of thing. Even though I'm using hot water to make it expand, just like I was before. So I don't know. So what do they look at the statistics and the figures? That we've got 95 to 110,000 customers over the last year. It hasn't increased, so basically those customers are regular customers. They've got used to the product. They did all their measuring in the first couple of months. They were quite happy with the product, so they measured their 2 handfuls to make 600 mils or whatever they did, and they were quite happy with that. Got used to it for a year. Now we sting them by making it only half as much, but they don't realise, and maybe it goes on for about a year or so, until they suddenly think, hang on. In that year they've made their money and they've moved on to some other pelletizing con or scam or whatever it is, I don't know, but it just seems a bit funny anyway. So we get our thing again, we're going to bring in our sand, do the old thing, again, 1 to 1, quite good. It's almost like 50-50 peat and sand in a way. We are actually replacing the idea or the concept of the peat there with our newspaper cellulose, because you've got to add the copper so that the penicillium has some cofactors, so it can actually attack things like that. But the idea I'm going to add is a different form of copper that's going to be a little bit different, a little bit eyebrow raising, I reckon. The form I'm going to add my copper in today is going to be a little bit different, and I think, this is going to be a little bit difficult. Maybe I should get another bowl, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put this one back in here and use this one, I reckon. Oh well, these things happen, I suppose. I'm going to put that to one side. I think I'm going to have to do this to get it to mix properly. At least it comes out better. Anyway, and the car's probably going to run out fairly shortly. So, we'll see how we go. Once you get into the right container, I used to use my best mixing bowl was a baby's bath. Always, you have the opportunity, get a second-hand baby's bath if you can, or buy a cheap one if you can find a cheap one that's sturdy enough. They probably are going to be sturdy enough because they're used for babies, of course, so they're set against standards. You know, what happened to the days when we used to have standards, you know? You know, some baby's bath falls apart and you accidentally kill the baby. You're going to have some irate mother or a few mothers. Yeah, so that's why we have standards. So we don't have irate mothers. Is that what it is? I don't know. Am I showing my age now? Am I showing my contempt for the way standards have dropped over the years? I mean, that's what gets me is they're always shoving their standards down your necks, yet they don't seem to do any work. They don't seem to do any of this work. Well, they can't, or they don't seem to want to show they're working. I mean, isn't that what we're talking about? Show me you're working. Isn't that what I'm doing here? I'm showing you my working. There are those bastards out there, what we call down here in southern Aberland, right proper bastards. They want you to give them your ideas. They want to put their name on it, and they want you to pay them to put their name on it, even though they're your ideas. Or if it's an article or something, they want to change it to such an extent you say, well, is it really my article anymore? You know, you're putting your words into my discoveries, my endeavours, in my workings, sort of thing. You know, that's why I don't like peer review, because I always felt that it was free and open communication with the scientific man. You put it out there.